Hey guys, I just wanted to go over a few things in Lazarus. It's one of those programs that I've been trying to use for a few years and just couldn't figure out how to go beyond the basics. I just kept getting stuck on little things and couldn't figure it out. And this year I've spent some time and it all kind of came together. Things began to click. But I just wanted to go over a few things that were causing me problems. They're simple things, but maybe someone else is, going through this right now, and this would help them. Um, One of the things I kept doing, I don't know if it was by habit or mistake, I just kept losing my source editor. Um, Whether it was minimized or I was closing it down, I just couldn't find it. I would close it and then, you know, it'd be gone. And there's a simple way to get it back. And if you go to the view and click source editor, it brings it back. Also, if you go under window, source editor, it brings it back. So if you're losing your source editor just like I was, that's how easy it is to get it back. And I was doing the same thing with the object inspector as well. So for whatever reason, again, I would either close this down or somehow get minimized. Again, the same way, view, object inspector. And certain things like renaming units. So I would go to new unit and I would see it says unit one, but I don't want unit one. So I would try to rename it here, and that's not how you do it. You're supposed to save it. And now if I call it, let's call it Nick one. Okay. And now I created Nick one. And that's what we want. And the same thing with forms as well. I would create a form and I would be just stuck using the default name. And well, that doesn't look right. So again, renaming forms. If you go to the object inspector here, you can change the caption easily. And let's call it my form just to show that it changes. So that's that. But if we go into the object inspector, it's still called form one. Maybe we want something else, and that's under name here. Let's call it better form. And so it's renamed it. And any kind of source that you have that was accessing the default name, once you rename it, it all gets updated. Another problem I had was removing things from my project. I would simply go to my project folder and delete whatever, and that's not the way you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to go to project and go project, remove from project, and select here to remove it, and then you can delete it. Otherwise, it causes all kinds of weird issues. Another thing I wasn't quite sure of was let me just cancel that. No. The other thing I wasn't quite sure of was how to access the different forms. And again, it's all right here. If you go under Project, Forms, so whatever forms I have created, I could easily bring up, let's bring the About dialog. And and it's that easy again. And if we look into the Object Inspector, we can see that I've renamed some of them, but there's still some default names like this. I can change it to, instead of shape 2, call it computer. There we go. Another thing I wasn't quite sure about was pictures. Let's just go insert a picture here. And I wasn't quite sure what happens with pictures when you attach a picture to your form. And here, let's load up something. And so let's just compile and run this. Yeah, I'm just going to remove all this stuff. That was just simply for testing. And let's go to project and remove from project just to make sure it goes away. Okay. All right, let's see if that works now. So this is the kind of things I was talking about. So better form is not here, but it's right here. So let's get rid of that. Save again. And if we go to about, here we have the picture we inserted. Now, I wasn't sure, do I need to distribute the picture in my main folder, or, you know, what happens to it? And it really, you don't have to worry about it. Once you attach it to your form, it gets converted into a resource and gets attached to your executable. So if I delete it, let's go into the art folder here. And if I delete, let's delete both of them. Now, if I exit and run my program again, it displays it just fine. It doesn't really need that file to be there anymore. But this is the kind of thing I kept, wondering about. What happens to all my pictures, icons? Well, if you use the picture option here, it gets converted and attached to your executable, so you don't have to worry about that. And finally, one of the things, like everyone else, I was concerned about the size of the exe. So if we look here, it's 21 megabytes. That's huge. Why does it create these huge files? Well, because it's in the default mode is debugging mode. So when you compile something, it has extra code added so you can step through your program and find out the errors much easier. Now, for me, that's something I have to get a little better at. But one of the things that I've been using, and maybe it's bad practice or not, let's say I wanted to know if my program, once I hit a button, actually, went to the right part of my program. And so let's just do that right now. Let's insert a button. Okay. So let's say I perform some kind of calculation here. All right. Let's see if this works. So another thing I learned was that your compile will fail if you're running your program, you didn't exit out of it or hit the stop button here from the IDE. So that's why this compile failed. Again, a lot of this stuff doesn't seem all that complicated, but when you combine it all, it really is frustrating trying to do anything. So if you're having the same issues, keep going. It'll eventually all make sense. Okay, we're good again. So like I was saying, so if I added some feature and I wanted to know did it work, I wasn't quite sure unless it gave me the result. But in situations where it wasn't anything visible, I had no way of knowing. So I pressed the button and did it work? Did it not work? Um, so there's actually a command called show message, and if we go into that, let's go to stop this project forms, my about menu, back to this. So if I wanted to know if my program reached here, we can do show message, and now if I do the same thing again, single quotes, not double quotes. Now I'm using an older server to remote into and test. So if it seems a little slow, it's not that Lazarus is slow, it's my old server that's slow. So if I press the button now, we get a little message. So that greatly helped me knowing if my program was reaching where it should. So this is like old school debugging with print commands or echo statements. So back to your exe file being so huge. Let's go to project, project options, and debugging. So the default mode generates debugging. Um, it says so right here, slower and increases exe size. So what can you do? Well, you can yeah, you can select release, hit OK, and compile. And if we go back to this folder, we can see that, let's minimize this, we can see that we dropped from 21 megs down to just a little over 2 megs. So that's a huge reduction in your exe file. So that's most of what I was having problems with. Hopefully, I haven't been all over the place and you might get some benefit out of this. And so that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.